Have you ever smelled a fragrance before that made you stop and think, wait, what is this? Not because it's the loudest fragrance in the room or because it has the most complicated notes, but because there's something in that fragrance that's distinct and that demanded your attention. Now, that is exactly what these 5 fragrances that I'm going to be sharing with you today did for me. They are unique in different ways. Each of these fragrances stopped me in my tracks for a different reason. One is warm and boozy, one is completely addictive, another's definition of underrated elegance. And I know that we all have very busy lives to live. Like, I'm just returning from church and I decided to film this video. So I'm gonna keep this video very short and very focused. Only 5 fragrances, only 5. So if you love sophisticated fragrances, keep watching because one of these 5 could become your very next obsession. Hello guys and welcome to the channel. It is your girl Ola. Thank you for returning to watch yet another episode. If you are new here, we discuss all things fragrances. So if this looks like something that is your vibe, consider subscribing so you can stay locked in. Let's begin today's video with Duchessa from the house of Gritti. This fragrance does not just quietly enter the room. Now, the first time I smelled Duchessa, I immediately understood that this is not just a delicate, innocent cherry fragrance. This is cherry dressed for the evening. This is a perfect evening scent. This is elegance. This smells dark, rich, and almost velvety to me. If you love cherry fragrance, you're absolutely going to love this one. It has a warmth and a sweetness to it that is slightly spiced in a way that's very elegant, very mature without feeling juvenile. It reminds me of a woman wearing a perfectly fitted, seductive black dress with beautiful gold jewelry and a very deep dark red lipstick. This is a sensual cherry scent. I actually love this scent. This is a fragrance I would reach for if I wanted to feel glamorous, confident, and a little mysterious. My friends, it is elegant without trying so hard. Duchessa wants to be noticed and it wants to be noticed for the right reasons. I would say you're looking for an elegant cherry fragrance. I would recommend that you reach for Duchessa. This is one that I believe that you're going to love and you probably will want to add this to your collection. Again, this is Duchessa from the house of Gritti. Next is Drunk Lovers from the house of Born to Stand Out. I mean, the name of this fragrance tells you that this is not just a quiet, timid kind of fragrance. This is one, oh my goodness, I absolutely love this fragrance. Look, this for me was love on the very first sniff. I did not just blind buy this fragrance, my friends. I sampled this fragrance before I decided to commit. But the first time I put my nose on this fragrance, I fell in love. Drunk Lovers is a warm, boozy, spicy, and incredibly sensual scent. Yes, I said it. It's all of those things. But what I love is that the booziness does not feel harsh. It's or medicinal in any way. This feels very smooth, very rich, and very enveloping. Look, this is a very addictive fragrance. You cannot put your nose on Drunk Lovers and not fall in love. This gives me the image of an intimate lounge. This for me is a perfect date night scent, my friends. I know that I've featured a couple that are perfect, that are date night scents, but this is a picture of, an intimate lounge, you and your partner, soft music, soft lighting. This is beautiful. People will lean close to you, and there is something about the scent that is also very wearable. It has personality, but it is not too chaotic. Drunk Lovers creates an entire mood. This fragrance stopped me the first time. I actually smelled this fragrance on a guy the first time I smelled it. But then I decided to sample it. So when I tell you that this is perfect for a guy, this is perfect for a lady, I know what I'm saying. This is perfection. You all know by now that I love boozy scents, whether it's cognac, whether it's wine, whether it's champagne, whether it's whiskey, anything that has that boozy scent. And I mean, if you like berries and you like wine, imagine those two mixed together. This is perfect for a date. You're a guy, you're trying to impress that babe that you've been talking to for a while. I'll pull the scent. This is a beautiful one. This makes a statement. This is a perfect magnet for you. It's mass appealing, but yet it has an edge to it. It has character. If you put your nose on this, I can almost promise you that this is going to be a love for you. I would say get your nose on this one. You might just fall in love and possibly add this to your collection. Again, this is Drunk Lovers from Born to Stand Out. Now we're moving into something smoother, more exquisite, and even more elegant. This is from the house of BDK, and this is Gris Chanel Extrait. Guys, this fragrance smells like texture to me. I absolutely love this one. This is a very long-lasting scent. It's creamy, it's woody, and it's slightly smoky. If you're familiar with the house of BDK, you know that I absolutely love their fragrances. The mixture of the cardamom and the fig and black tea in the top notes just comes together really beautifully, and then it has an exquisite dry down. The sandalwood, the Madagascan vanilla, and the tonka bean just gives it something beautiful and creamy in the end. My friends, you are going to love this one. If you like spicy, slightly spicy fragrances and you like fig, you are going to like this one. And there's something about Gris Chanel Extrait for me. I know that fragrances comes off on people's skin differently when it reacts with your body chemistry. It comes off differently, but there's something about Gris Chanel Extrait, because I'll say everybody has this fragrance at this point, but this is one that smells differently on people. Like when I've smelled people who tell me that they're wearing Gris Chanel, I'm like, is it the same Gris Chanel I know? And that's what I mean by your chemistry also matters. But this is a beautiful, unique scent, my friends. It's ideal for more of the cooler weather, but I kind of feel like you can still pull this off even this time of year, depending on what your climate, where you are. Maybe cooler summer evenings, you should be able to pull off this scent. This smells expensive, not because it's screaming for attention in any way, shape, or form, but because it feels very complete. There's nothing missing, nothing is out of place. Everything comes together beautifully. Now, see, cardamom is not a spice that I absolutely love. I have it in my kitchen. Cardamom is not a spice that I naturally gravitate towards. Cardamom and cumin, the cumin. I hope I'm saying that right. They're not spices that I like on their own, but it depends on how it's blended. And that's why I'm always particular about the blending in scents. This is blended beautifully. There's something very attractive. There's something very sexy about this fragrance. This is ideal. This is an ideal scent in my opinion. Even though this will be perfect for you to wear when it's a bit cooler, not really hot, you can pull this off this time of year. To me, I see this as an all year round scent. It's versatile. This is one I would say you can wear to work, you can wear to a date, you can wear to an event. This is a beautiful scent. It's a perfectly unisex scent in my opinion, and I think it's one that you would love. This draws people close and keeps them close, if you get what I mean. There's something innately sexy and attractive about this scent. If you haven't gotten your nose on this one, I think you should get your nose on it. You just may fall in love and want to add it to your collection. This fourth fragrance is from the house of Kilian, and it's Old Fashioned. I do not believe I've featured this fragrance on my channel before, but this deserves a space in this conversation, and I'm not sure why. I don't remember featuring this fragrance in any of my videos before, but Old Fashioned, I don't think it's even one that people talk about from the house of Kilian. A lot of people talk about, what's it called? Roses on Ice. People talk about Angel Share, but I've not really seen a lot of people talk about Old Fashioned, but this is one that I absolutely adore. I love this fragrance. This is my second bottle, maybe even third of this fragrance. This is a beautiful scent, my friends. Old Fashioned is inspired by aged whiskey. You see what, guys, I promise you, I'm not an alcoholic. When I keep saying I love boozy scents, I'm not saying I don't drink. I don't drink now because, anyway, that's a story for another day. But I'm not an alcoholic, but I do love boozy notes in scents. This is inspired by aged whiskey and immediately comes through in the atmosphere of this fragrance. I can't resist the urge to put this fragrance on, my friends. This smells warm, this is woody, this is slightly sweet, and very, very boozy. But it also has that dry down that has a refined quality to it, if you get what I mean. It doesn't smell like a sugary cocktail. No, it doesn't smell like that at all. This feels more like sitting by a fireplace in an old estate. You get what I mean? And you know, I'm trying not to make reference to rich people because I get people say, you were talking about rich people, but this reminds me of dark wood, leather furniture, and just sitting maybe even by a fireplace with something exquisite poured into a very heavy glass. And you're just sipping on it. This is another fragrance that reminds me of money. This fragrance has me intoxicated. This fragrance always has me in my feelings. While some may say that this fragrance leans masculine to some people, I enjoy fragrances that challenge those boundaries. I don't just like sweet and flowery and no. I want a fragrance that's going to challenge my taste. Old Fashioned is Divana, wheat, bergamot, and then there's cedar, whiskey, orange blossom, and tuberose in the middle notes, and of course there's tolu balsam and styrax in the base. If you're one who is looking for floral, light, traditionally feminine, you probably may not lean towards this scent. But if you appreciate mature, woody, boozy sophistication, Old Fashioned is absolutely worth smelling. I will put links for where you can get this in the comment section. You can get your notes on this one. You may love this one and want to add it to your collection. Again, this is Old Fashioned from the house of Kilian. And finally, we have Dia 40 from the house of Amouage. Guys, if the other fragrances on this list stop me through richness, sensuality, or drama, Dia 40 stopped me through elegance. Guys, I've talked about this in my Amouage video. If you haven't watched that video, I'll put the link somewhere at the end of this video so you can go watch it. But this fragrance is beautiful in such a composed manner. You know when you see a lady who is put together, she's all that, she knows she's all that, but she doesn't scream about being all that, if you get what I mean. This is elegance in a bottle. This doesn't scream, this doesn't shout, but this is sophistication. The closest fragrance in my collection that Dia 40 reminds me of is Tilia from the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois. I'll put the picture of what that bottle looks like. It also reminds me of Elysium Parfum from the house of Roger. Those are the fragrances in my collection this reminds me of. It's not loud, it's not shouty, but it's elegance, it's sophistication. It smells clean, it smells polished, it smells incredibly refined. When I wear Dia 40, I do not feel as though the fragrance is entering the room before I do. You know how you put on some fragrances? Yes, they are rich, they are sophisticated. When you walk in, they know, hey, she walked in. They probably already know. This doesn't walk into the room before you do. It becomes part of my essence. It becomes part of my presence. And that is what I personally call quiet luxury. So if you're an oversprayer like me, I had to learn while playing with these fragrances. Do not make the mistake of overspraying, guys. And you know how that sometimes, especially when you wear fragrances a lot like I do, sometimes you may become nose blind to some of these fragrances. Do not make the mistake of overspraying. Like I know that with Tilia and this, I tend to overspray and I can get away with it. But the fact that you don't smell it so much doesn't mean that it's not there. Dia 40 has aldehydes, musk, cyclamen, violet leaf, black currant in the top notes. We have rose, carnation, ylang-ylang, tarragon, bay leaf, and orange blossom in the middle notes. And of course in the base, we have orris root, the sandalwood, there's amyris and gaiac wood. This fragrance made me stop and remind me once again that a fragrance doesn't have to shout. It doesn't have to be loud for it to be memorable. And sometimes pure elegance speaks very softly. So guys, these are 5 luxury fragrances that genuinely made me stop in my tracks. Duchessa from the house of Gritti for that dark, glamorous femininity. And then Drunk Lovers, oh Lord, that's just warm, sensuality. And then Gris Chanel Extrait has that smooth, underrated seduction about it. Old Fashioned is woody, it's pure, mature sophistication. Of course, Dia 40 from the house of Amouage is just elegance. And what I love about today's list is that every fragrance makes an impression, it brings something to the table. Some enter the room boldly, while others just draw you in slowly. But at the end of the day, they all will make you smell unforgettable. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these fragrances have you tried? And let me know if any of them left a lasting impression on you. Which of these fragrances made you stop in your tracks the very first time you smelled it? Or are there any other fragrances that you have in your collection that you want us to know about? Let me know. Any fragrance that when I smelled this fragrance, it stopped me in my tracks and I couldn't just forget about it. I'm like that. When I smell a fragrance that I love, I daydream about that fragrance. So tell me in the comment section. I'd like to hear from you. Now, if you've enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, share with your family. That way we can grow our community here. And if you've watched me up until this point, or you've been watching me and you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe to the channel. We are building such a wonderful fragrance family here, and we would love to have you join us. Thank you so much for watching. Now, until the next one, I hope you all stay safe. And I know that all things will continue to work together for your good. Thank you and bye.